Marianne McGuire never forgot where she came from before she was born into this lifetime. Today we're going to hear her incredible pre-birth memories, as well as get an insider look on what it's like to live with constant memory and knowledge of the other side. Please leave a comment in support of her opening up and being willing to share her story.
Could you explain to us, to the best of your ability, what you remember?
I will attempt to do so, Melissa, because words are dualistic and linear, and this was beyond concepts. It just isn't possible to do it justice. And even as I say that, it's funny because there was no separation. It's like, do it justice, like it is over here. It's part of everything. There is no separation. And that was very much the feeling of it. It was ineffable love that I simply cannot describe or cannot be described. It was just this knowing. So there was no gap between what I experienced. So I nearly died when I was a baby. So I suppose you could say I did near-death experience as a baby. Born blue, unconscious, and the doctor had to do like a needle in my head, and I was in the hospital for a long time afterwards. My mother didn't tell me how long, but I was older when I left, she said, because the nurses were, liked having me around because I was an older baby. So that was that. But I never forgot there was no gap between when I was born and now. So because I wasn't veiled completely, so to speak. I was veiled, but not completely. So I did remember. And when I tune into it, it was this utter, ineffable love and this scintillating peace. And it was like intelligent light. And the main word that I would use to describe it is oneness. But it was beyond what we think, when we come here and we put things in boxes and it's linear. It was beyond all of that. There was no separation. Problems do not exist there. There's no pain. There's no loneliness. There's no suffering. It's telepathy. You think about something and it's just this beingness, this isness. And it's like the things I mentioned, like the, negativity, loneliness or something. When you tune into it, it's like it never existed. It doesn't exist there. And it's almost like it never existed. So because this is illusory where we are now. And I do say that with respect. So, and there's no time or space. It's just completely different. It's so expansive. There's no time, there's no space. It's so expansive. It's like an expansion of love. And at the same time, I remember witnessing it. So I had my individuality. Like, it's like we're still individuated, even though we're one with source, where it's oneness. And this is the duality. Well, how can it be oneness? And we have our individuation, but we do. So you still have it's not a personality. It's like character or something. It's very hard to describe. Essence, I suppose. So I was witnessing it and I was it. We are it. So it's not just me, but I'm just giving you what I remember, what I always came here with. So I've such certainty about this. So I'm just sharing that with you. But I really do want your audience to know this isn't just me. This is what you are too. Like it's so exciting. And we forget, which is fine because we come here and we're veiled and there's a reason for all of that. I mean, we have to, if you were playing a game and you knew everybody's hand, or if you were playing hide and seek and you were omniscient and you knew where everybody was, well, it wouldn't be much fun in the game. So there's a reason we come here to be constricted and limited of our power, so to speak. So it's all meant to be all of that. But it's just the feeling of it, of this oneness. It's like being inside joy. There was a beauty that I can't describe. Like I knew that beauty existed everywhere and that it's more real than we can imagine. The whole feeling of this, I don't even want to call it realm, but just for the sake of description, realm, the whole feeling was ineffable for beauty. And the reason I say I don't really want to say realm is because, again, I don't want to denote separation because it's what you are. It's what you are. So it's not, well, you die and you go to heaven. It's like it's almost, there's to be crude about it, it's like there's 2% of you here and 98% of you there, but it's not there. It's here. So I know it's abstract and it's paradoxical, but spirit is abstract and it is paradoxical, and it's like, that's just the way it is, and we have to accept it, because it's only when we get into our human minds that we get all frustrated. Like, I remember, even though I knew this, at the same time, I remember being a child of a certain age, maybe about 12, and trying to get my mind around eternity. Even though I knew this, like I was one with my eternal being, but then, the way the intellect comes online at a certain age, it actually starts at kind of the ego, so to speak. I don't like using that word. Starts at 2. I saw it in my own children. I remember it myself. It's where you start to, take on conditioning and so on. But I remember that I just got so frustrated. What do you mean eternity? Like, I couldn't, and I knew it was real, but then I was trying to intellectualize it. So I really would say, don't. If you don't want to get really frustrated, don't try to intellectualize truth, the love that you are. Feel it instead. Allow it wash over you and through you. And like, it's imbued in every part of our being and in every cell here. And if we can tap in, like if you're suffering or anything like that, and you can tap in and realize this is where inspiration comes from. Like, this is where intuitive guidance comes from. So you're never alone. You're never alone. Like, when you tap into this, you need never be lonely again, because you realize, oh my God, this is real. This is who I am. This isn't just a place like, oh, there's heaven. This is a place I go to when, the afterlife, when I die. You realize this is who I am. And you can, the way I put it is fall back. You can fall back. You can surrender into this truth that you are the magnificent, beautiful oneness, isness, beingness, intelligent light, ineffable love, just scintillating alive peace that is the basis of everything.
Marianne, thank you so much for sharing. I love the passion that comes through when you speak. And I recognize in your words somebody who has truly experienced this. Mm. And I absolutely love the beautiful message that you've come here, that you're bringing to everybody else. You also had a beautiful spiritual experience at the age of 6. Could you share that with us?
Absolutely. So after, literally dying as a baby and all that, I remember throughout my childhood having spiritual experiences. So, for example, I remember standing in my cot as a baby of about, I don't know, I'm guessing around 11 months, because that's kind of when you learn how to stand. And I remember being pure awareness. We all are pure awareness, by the way. It's not just me. This is why I have such respect for babies and children. I can't even. When I hear on films or something that children are dumb. Oh, don't. Children are profound geniuses, if you want to put that word on it. Not dumb at all. That's like saying, well, just because you don't know Chinese, you're dumb. Just because you've never turned, it's ridiculous, I have a profound respect, because I remember what it was like. I remember what it was like to be a baby. And I had the same I had the same consciousness and awareness as I have now. I can remember it. It was that same beingness that I described in what I remember before I came here, before I came into the physical. I remember where I came from. It was that, except without the conditioning, without the layers and everything that comes. So, but I do remember one age, around about 6 years of age, and it was like I was standing on my own in the kitchen of my childhood home, and this knowingness seemed to appear above me, and it flowed through me, and it was within and without. So it was like it flowed above and through me. And it was almost like, and it was like, because I was so young, I didn't analyze it in any way, but I knew everything all at once. And it was like this dimension peering beyond it, beyond space time, and the cosmos was there, but it wasn't the cosmos. It was beyond that. It was beyond that. I was trying to wish I knew how to describe this. And I was shown certain truths about reality and how this life works. And like, for example, I knew that there existed something. I think this was stimulating me back then, something so beautiful, even beyond it was even beyond our idea of heaven, what people call heaven. And I knew that where I was in my kitchen, that 3D, I didn't know what that phrase was or anything. But this is only the tiniest part of what was true. Tiniest part of what was true. And I knew that. And I received what I call now 7 codes of oneness. They weren't called 7 codes back then, but I didn't know what to call them. I have to kind of, if I'm giving them to people, I have to package them in some way. So then when that experience is over, and of course it never is over, it's never over for me and it's never over for you because it's in the background. It's our beingness. But I just went on about my day as if nothing had happened because it was so familiar. It was totally normal to me. I thought everybody had these experiences. It was totally normal. I didn't have anybody to talk to anyway. I didn't come from that kind of a family. So I had nobody to talk to about that kind of thing anyway. So I kept it to myself and I kind of thought it was completely normal anyway. I couldn't have articulated it at that young age anyway. I didn't have the vocabulary. And I actually asked my guides later on, I was like, how did I know about duality and all of these, truths? I don't like to say truth and that it's just, you know what I mean by that? I say that with respect, truths, love. And they said that my infinite being was receiving this information from source and the child that I was bore witness to it and never forgot. And I was meant to. Because of now. Oh my God. I was meant to because now there's an awakening happening and it's real. It's happening. It's not a concept. There's an awakening happening. And all those years ago, I received that so I could share it now with you, with your audience, with anybody who has ears to hear. But that's just it's kind of blown me away because I've carried this all my life and I never spoke about it really. And when I look back and see the glorious synchronicity and then everything I went through after that and all the pain and trauma and all that, and how I was given the tools to heal that and to embody that and then share it with others, it's glorious. Life is glorious. And it's happening now. There's this awakening happening now, and now is the time for us to step out of the box of our conditioning and live from who we really are. And it's just amazing when I think of it, because I'm thinking back to that 6-year-old. It's really amazing. But I couldn't, as I say, I couldn't articulate any of this. All of this it was only later clothed in words. And now I'm able to share it with people. But I so cherish this because I wasn't taught it and I haven't read it. And it's facilitating my mission to nudge people into the remembrance of just how magnificent and beautiful they are and just take their power back. But in contrast to that, as I say, I did go through my life and I think many of your listeners and viewers might have gone through the same thing. I was squashed and there was a lot of fear, dominant father, and later on, after 20 years of searching to find the answer, I went through an awful lot. I went through an awful lot of, trauma and fear. And one day, which is part of my spiritual experience, I stopped, I felt this energy rising within me and I stopped and asked the question, out of all the experimentation, after all this time and everything, because I'd been going through an awful lot, what is the most important thing we can do to find what we're looking for? And out of this sea of awareness came the answer, let go of struggle and know who you really are. And that moment, I was given the tools to shift from this cement-like struggle into joy and being able to solve any issues I had. And I reclaimed my birthright through this information. I reclaimed my birthright of power and expression that was denied to me in my childhood. And it was completely glorious. Like, it came through me over a period of about 8 weeks, and I wrote it all down. And I remember putting it up on a big glass wall. And then when I was finished all the writing, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what was going to come of it. I kind of put all the pieces to paper together, and it was all like a jigsaw. And paragraphs, like, they just joined one into the other. It was mind blowing. It really was. So that was another spiritual experience that I had, which was incredible. I used that in many areas of my life, because within that came this other, as part of it, this just divine piece of information around surrender, around the importance of divine surrender. And I knew something, again, kept building within me, and I knew, I got this feeling I had to unlearn. We have to unlearn the conditioning, what's been imposed, the layers of conditioning that have been imposed, like, upon us. And the words "fall back" came to me. And in that moment, I experienced really the how-to of being. And in this, I found what I'd been looking for. After all the years of climbing to get the answer, I fell back and I found what I'd been looking for. It was like total peace. I fell into my own being. I fell into presence. I fell into love. I fell into the embrace of truth. I fell back home and connected with this oneness again that I'd known before I came here. It was so expansive, I can't even describe it. And then I was able, from this surrender, as we are able from this surrender, to stand in my power and express myself. And the joy of it is that now I'm helping others to do the same, to stand in their power and express who they really are, open up to their intuition, take their power back, and what I call step into their deeper destiny. And now is the time.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, Marianne. Could you tell us a little bit more about the 7 codes?
Yes, the oneness codes. As I said, I didn't know what they were called back then. But so, for example, one of them was that knowing that I knew that this, where we live our everyday existence, was only the tiniest part of what was true. And that's why it's so important, when you tune into this, I keep saying truth, it's for all of us, it's not just for me. And when you place your precious attention here and mix that with intention, well, then your life can change, because you're taking your power back from the conditioning and you're focusing here. So that was huge. I knew that linear time didn't exist. I knew that the past, present, and future were all happening now. And like, I remember I was an artist. Well, I am an artist, but I go through gaps. But since I was 18, I'm an artist. And that was one of the paintings that was my first painting that I sold. One eternal moment. Bit difficult. That's why it's difficult to, like, I do write poetry and I write and I paint, because I'm trying to, it's difficult to articulate this. So I tried to put it in other different mediums. But that was my first painting that I sold, one eternal moment. So I knew, I've known all my life that time is simultaneous, and there's no such thing as time in truth. It really takes the weight off when you realize this, because truth is beckoning you in every moment, and you don't have to collapse into pain or fear or suffering. Beyond duality lies freedom. I knew that, and again, this is a bit abstract, but it's like if you get a pole and, right, wrong, everything is here in this 3D is dualistic, like, up, down, right, wrong, good, bad. And even, like, to be or not to be who you really are, or to continue with the conditioned self. And I knew, I just had this sense, all encompassing, knowing that you bring the essence of the 2 poles of whatever it is together into the middle and go forward into oneness. Which I know is really, and you might think, well, what has that to do with my everyday life? But you can apply that to your everyday life if you're going through something. Getting rid of judgment is huge. I can't even tell you, especially now, going beyond, not in getting rid of, going beyond judgment is enormously important now. It really is. So it's like bringing both together and just becoming neutral. Neutrality is hugely important. and then going forward into oneness. That again is very abstract, but you can actually apply each of these into your life. I knew love is all there is, that we would be awestruck if we could understand even a tiny, like I knew it was like almost a secret that I would keep because I knew it wasn't appropriate to share with people, but I have a gift for seeing people for who they really are. But I knew it wasn't appropriate to talk about it. So it was like a secret or something that I kept with their higher selves. But if people knew even a fraction of their beauty and magnificence, they'd be in awe. And I can see that. And that was one of those codes. So it's just something I hold within me, and anybody can cultivate that. It's just I've devoted my life to this. It's been over 3 decades, all of this, and I'm privileged and honored. But I really do want everybody to know this is who they are. This isn't just me. Oh, well, she has had this unique experience or whatever. No, everybody listening, this is the core of their being. Beauty, love, truth, expansive freedom. And you can live from here rather than from the conditioning that has been imposed upon you, which is fine too. It's not like, oh, life is this has been doing to me. I mean, life is for us. Life doesn't, happen to us. It really does happen for us, as hard as that is to accept sometimes. But that's my desire, for people to really realize how beautiful they are, like beyond beautiful and magnificent, because they're one with this beingness that I spoke of before that exists. There's no birth, there's no death. It's just that all the way throughout our lives, throughout the timeline. It's like not behind us, because obviously it's everywhere within and without, but I always sense it behind, and you can fall back into the arms of love, really. It's so comforting.
I really love that description that you put on it, that just fall back into it, because sometimes people struggle with, practically speaking, how do I connect to this? And I love that description.
I want to share with you a beautiful gift. Dr. Edith Ubuntu Chan's transformational course, Luminous Prosperity, a practical guide to reshaping your mindset around abundance and stepping into a life of greater alignment and flow. This course includes 9 concise videos packed with powerful insights and meditation exercises to help you embody the teachings. It's an easy to follow plan that takes 15 minutes a day, designed to unfold over 18 days. When I took this course, I was blown away by the depth of Dr. Edith's wisdom. She left no stone unturned in helping me uncover limiting beliefs I didn't even realize I had when it came to lack, money, and abundance. Click here or check the description box for the link. Thank you to Dr. Edith for partnering with me in this video.
I'm very practical. Yes, I'm aware of this magnificence that we all are and that we're all connected to. But at the same time, we chose to have this experience in the physical. And what I would say is enjoy it. You're here for a finite amount of time. You have a physical body. You have these glorious senses that, the smell of a rose. I have these yellow roses outside, and I smelled one in the sun, and it was just divine. Like, we have these senses, use them, because that was another thing I knew, that this lifetime where we spent here in this dimension, it's over, not even in the blink of an eye. It's over, because that would mean it was a moment. I can't explain it. I just knew it wasn't even a moment and it's over. It's done. So enjoy it. Enjoy it. Like, from that perspective, which is the perspective. I'm not trying to diminish this, but there is no comparison in this dimension. It's wonderful. I really do want to say it with respect, but there is absolutely no comparison with beyond at all. We choose to come down here so to speak, down here, it's a bit dualistic, but to, experience life here so that we can expand. And it is glorious. And part of it, I think it's very important for people to be in your body, grounded to the earth. Because if you're not, or if you've had trauma when you were younger, you'll want to escape. Or if something happened to you physically or whatever you went through, very often we leave our bodies and we're You know that phrase beside, oh, he was beside himself, she was beside herself. That can literally happen energetically, which is really fascinating. And they just feel out of it, not here, so wanting to escape almost. And they're literally, their energy field is out, not in the physical body. So it's very important to come back, align, and ground yourself to the earth, while at the same time being connected to oneness, you know, to the heavens, to whatever way you want to put it. And that way you're fed from both directions, from the earth and from above. So nature is a portal to this. Presence is a portal, but it's more than a portal, because presence is what you are. Presence isn't just, oh, I'm going to sit down and meditate and I'm going to be present. Like, presence is what we are. We are presence itself. So nature is a portal to that. I mean, you just feel so expansive. You know, if you've had a tough day or whatever, you go out in nature. Animals, so important to be around animals. Ground yourself. It feeds you. It's like the wind whispering to you. It feeds you, nature. It's so important. And I think the worst thing you can do is go, okay, I'm here. Come on, 5 minutes. Come on, feed me. Nothing's happening. I knew this wouldn't work. I'm just going to go back and watch the TV. Like, that's not really the best way to approach this. The best way to approach it is just to sit on the earth and stop doing or being for a moment and tune in. And what's revealed? And you're revealed to yourself. And that happens very easily when you're out in nature, being supported by nature. You can tune into the trees. I touched one of my trees here, a big old pine. And it was almost like being shown the roots of the pine under the ground and how it mingled with the mycelium network over in the field. And there was this support system under the ground that went on for miles and miles beyond borders. Forget, countries and man-made borders. This is going on under the earth. Earth energy here to support us, at one with the earth and at one with the heavens. It's an absolutely beautiful way to live your life and to be nurtured by the earth and by nature, waiting for you now, and it's free. And if you don't have land or you might think, oh, well, I'm left out. You can go to a park, you can even buy a pot with some soil and some broccoli seeds and watch them sprout. And then you can eat sprouts, which are unbelievably nutritious. But look, what? It never gets old. I have a geodesic dome. And because I'm really I love sacred geometry and Bucky Fuller and all that. But I've been growing vegetables for years, and I swear it never gets old. I grow something and it comes up like, oh my God, it's such a miracle from a seed. Like, the seed has all the information. Like, it knows. And it grows into this. It's like us. It's like if you're setting up a business or anything, or you're looking after your children, like, there's potential. There's this creative potential just teeming in the air. Like, life force energy all around us. It's just amazing. And everything is waiting to nourish you. So just tap into it. It's all here for us now.
You're speaking my language. We would be like best friends with all the spiritual stuff, that love of the earth and growing plants. Growing plants is my ultimate passion.
Like, there are these forces around us and electricity. It's like an electric universe, and we can tap into things. And it's about just juicy experimentation and just living your life and being lit up by simple things. But it's not that simple. Simple things like growing, but it's a total miracle. You put a seed in some soil, you give it the sun and water, and hey presto, something comes up and you can eat it and it can sustain you. Like, it's amazing. Everything's a miracle. I mean, you can either have the attitude, everything is a miracle, or nothing is a miracle. To me, everything is a miracle. We're miracles. Everything is a miracle.
I just love how you view life. And just like with everything being a miracle, and then abundance being everywhere. And this is something I've experienced too, when I've been in phases of my life where my spiritual awakening phase when I just opened up and I realized, oh, wow, the air is crackling with potential and possibility, and we just shut ourselves off to it, but it's there.
Here, exactly. You can see it. Like I could see it all. You can see it. Anybody watching this can see it. It's just because nobody says. They don't go to school and the teachers don't say, oh, by the way, you can see, life force, energy, prana, chi in the air.
Right.
You look up there on a sunny day, or actually even not, or at night time or anything, and it's like, I don't know, billions. I don't know. Here, I'm trying to count in my head. What do I say? Billions or trillions of sparkles of light in the air. And then, you can rub your hands together and you can do experiments with the life force energy literally in the air. That's one of the things I knew. Was that I knew certain things when I was younger. And then scientists would go on. Then when I got older, whatever, and you'd hear the odd scientist on the radio convinced that, they had it all figured out. Like, oh, we know everything there is to know about the brain. And there were a few things that I knew. Of course, I didn't say it out loud, but one of them I knew was that space wasn't empty. I knew space wasn't empty. The other thing was I knew when I heard them talk about junk DNA, I knew, that's not a thing. There's no such thing as junk DNA. I remember being slightly offended when I heard that because there's not like 12 strand, probably 24 strand DNA. There's no junk DNA just because the scientists don't know it. It's like, God, I wish they'd open themselves to the possibility. And I also knew that the speed of light, everybody said you can't go faster than the speed of light. And I knew, yeah, you can. You can go faster than the speed of light. But there were just things that came back to me a little while ago. It's like, oh yeah, I remember I knew that. So it's about trusting your intuition, trusting your knowing, and opening up to the fact that literally, as you said, Melissa, the air is literally teeming with energy. And not only energy, but just possibilities, and beauty is everywhere. It depends what you place your precious attention on.
If you could give everyone in the world one message, what would it be?
Loving yourself. You're so magnificent. You're so profoundly beautiful. You're so capable. Let go of what's holding you back and open up to being your truth. Tapping into the beingness, the beauty, and the profound joy and freedom that you are, so that it can sustain your life.
Marianne's links are in the description. And for anyone who would like to support the podcast, you will also find links to my Pay What You Can membership, my Paintings of the Other Side, my merch, and my 8-week intensive course, Alchemy to Expand Your Consciousness. Go live your most extravagantly loving life. And I'll see you next time.